Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, America, especially California, especially Southern California, because everybody in the world wants to live in Southern California. The proof is in Los Angeles, because thousands of people flood in Los Angeles through their vehicles and cars and mega trucks through the highways of Los Angeles every day, and thousands and thousands of people flood into LAX, Los Angeles airport from countries all over the world every day. So especially California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Texas, Kentucky, New York, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi. Anyway, I'm Archangel Troy, Superhero Troy, or Grassroots President Troy Frazier. You know, if you watch my other videos, I explain more detail of that. Well, here's my face. Because this is 3 o'clock in the morning. This is a little ridiculous. Today's topic is about the wasteful nature of my neighbor and how obnoxious he is. Worst neighbor I've ever had, except for the creepy Connie, but that's a different story. Anyway, see, look at the clock on my stove. What does it say? 3:06. This is almost September 2021. And if you listen closely, you can hear my neighbor's air conditioner going. Do you hear that jalopy, old, probably refrigerated air conditioner that's clanking around on top of his roof? This is the desert. But when you're in an area of the country where it's hotter, you should be more conservative with electricity, because everybody's trying to cool off in the summertime during the day, and stretching the power companies to the limits to where if they max out, they're gonna have a grid failure. They're gonna have a power outage for an hour, a day, a month, who knows how long. This is ridiculous, and he always has his porch light on. He's got another motion detecting spotlight. The air conditioner's running all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in a year. And And they have the loudest vehicles in the neighborhood with the aftermarket pipes on their trucks. And they jaunt off to work at 6 in the morning and wake us up because we're right next door. And they don't leave slowly. They just take off like a bat out of hell. It's ridiculous. The speed limit should be 15 miles per hour on the street. But the point is, if you want to lower your electricity bill, start by utilizing your switches wisely. That means your cooler and fan switches, the dial on your freezer and fridge can be dialed down a little bit. I barely use lights anymore. I barely have any use for lights anymore. I have daylight coming in all during the day. And then the light from the television gives me enough light in the television. Light from the computer gives me enough light to see what I'm doing. I only turn on the light just this little right here. See this? See this? This little hood light above the stove. That's what I cook with. I don't turn on all the lights in the house like my old sister or something. Only try to just turn everything off and use as little as possible, only what you absolutely need on at the time. You know, there's this show on TLC called Cheapskates, or So Freaking Cheap, that they count the seconds that the refrigerator's open. They only open the garage door twice a day because it costs 12 cents each. Or one man, I think his name is Clayton, shuts his breaker off at 10 p.m. 10 o'clock at night. All lights out. I guess that goes for the plug-in electricity too, for appliances and television and computer charging and all that good stuff. So I assume Clayton turns the breaker on in the morning. But we're in Southern California, we're in the desert, and if you're in a hot region, you better be conserving electricity, and between the hours of 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., really use as little as possible. Do your laundry in the middle of the night. Try cooking at 10 o'clock at night. That's what I do. Think about the water. The governor a while ago said we need to conserve water because we're running out of water. So you don't need to take a shower every day. Are you ridiculous? You're wasting water. You're going to make my water run out sooner. You know, you don't need to be that clean because it's just a habit, because you're probably rubbing off too many skin cells. You're probably drying out your skin. Probably rubbing in a whole bunch of chemicals and bull crap from the contaminated water anyway. It's absorbing through your skin. I mean, who really has a good enough filter on their shower head? Come on, hardly anybody. So you're absorbing chemicals and bad metals through your skin. So we need to conserve water and electricity and get your power companies to quit burning up so much water. Because I'm an inventor working on my new patents for power plants that consumes zero water, all renewable, all clean, doesn't burn anything, no coal, no natural gas, no nuclear. I got four corners, Highway 58, Highway 395 really close to me, and that's a solar power plant, and people would probably think, oh, solar, oh, that's perfectly fine, that's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, right. They're burning through probably 12 Olympic swimming pools of water per day. I don't know where all this water is coming from. We're in the desert, so they're stealing water from Kern River and the other big cities and aqueducts and stuff. Ridiculous. Conserve water and electricity, because the other problem is in my neighborhood, might be going on in your neighborhood too, where we finished building in the 70s and especially finished building our houses in the 80s. My house was built in 1972. My dad bought this house outright before I was born. Thank God for Lester Fraser. Thank God for my mother. My father wouldn't be anything without my mother, Joanne. And the problem is, a new house is being built on my street. On my street, the street behind me, the street behind that, up the street in the same neighborhood, but a different little block. All these cheap new houses that are, they just want cheap land, and they'll squeeze them in the most ridiculous lot, and you might have 12 feet wall to wall between each house, wall to wall, 12 feet, and you divide that by 2, so you put a fence in between, so it's only 6 feet of an alley. And then what do? Splice into the water, splice into the electricity power grid, splice into the electricity wires, the power poles, the wires, latch on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, it doesn't take a .com genius to figure out that eventually there could be a failure, a short circuit, there could be a power overload, and just have everybody in the powerless black. And I'm sorry I said black, because it has nothing to do with skin color. I just mean a blackout, where you have zero electricity coming in the house, it's all dark, and what if it's the sun, what if it's hot, what if it's cold, and your refrigerator and freezer are going to be going warm, and your food going bad, and you can't cook, you can't watch TV, you can't cool off with a cooler or fan. What are you going to do, run everything off the 12 volt of your truck? Yeah, right. Very nice. They taught us in electronic aviation electrician school in the Army. I was a helicopter electrician in the Army. And they taught us that electricity is like water coming out of a hose. You know how you put your thumb over the end of the hose? There's pressure. there's pressure in that wire as pressure in that hose. So all this splitting off, just latching off foolishly. It's so foolishly, haphazardly, willy-nilly that there's eventually going to be a failure, a blackout, a short circuit, an overload, a meltdown, you name it. And these neighbors just running their cooler 24/7 is not doing their neighbors any favors. You're supposed to be thinking not just about yourselves, even if you pay the bill 100% each month. No, I could still criticize him because he's running the community at a higher risk. He's taking more than his fair share. They are hogs. They are pigs. They have parties too much. Just because they got the swimming pool from 1973, like the year after my house was built, their house was built, but they moved in 1999. Their pool is all small and disgusting, but they still have hordes of people coming over, parking on my property, knocking on my mailbox, letting out their dog to the short fence, hopping the fence, almost biting my daughter. And then when I go to the street behind them to talk to this neighbor's mother, she calls him on his little camping trip. And I said, I got a problem with your dog. He came over the next day, banging on my door, all huffy puffy, all chest pumped up, like he's and demons out of his eyes, like he's gonna beat my ass. I was kind of afraid of my life, so I just shut the door in his face, and walked away. So yeah, if worse comes to worse, you might have a legal battle with your neighbor, because if he doesn't give in to some of your totally common sense requests that are totally, I mean, he wouldn't want any of his family bitten by any animal. And if his neighbor had a dog out of control on his property, he would flip a bee too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss. This is YouTube. Yeah, you can turn this man in for parking all over the neighborhood on the lots in front of him, the lot to the south of him that he don't own. His camper, his boat, his trucks. Call the I don't know if the actual police will do something about that, but you call code enforcement, and they're located at the police department. Sorry, the grassroots president Troy has an itchy nose. And he just walks onto my property willy-nilly whenever he wants. Well, we've had a good understanding and a break for a couple of years, but he used to walk on my dirt lot, parking lot, through my backyard, into my shop, and almost step on me when I'm welding. When I'm busy welding, I don't expect somebody just to step up into my shop and in my backyard when I'm welding and working, and unless I bet a cop would do that, a police officer would do that, but not your neighbors are supposed to exercise more respect. Yeah. What you gonna do when they're all looking at you? What if the whole country's looking at you? What you gonna do then to impress them, to please them, to entertain them, to soothe their soul and make them like you? Are you just gonna freeze and do nothing, or you can do something stupid, or you can do something good? What you gonna do when they're all looking at you? I want to put on superhero shows, and I want to be president of the United States because the Lord Jesus Christ keeps giving me dreams that I'm going to be the next president. Kind of hard to imagine how I'm going to get the funds to continue a campaign, but if I can make friends with Donald Trump real quick, he might just back me up. Because he's already talked good about me, even though we never shook hands before. Anyway, yeah, go to your city hall, go to your city hall meetings, and talk to the mayor at the meeting about slowing down the building of houses. Because they're just junk, same old junk anyway. And we got plenty of space, plenty of housing in the city anyway. It's just a money-making racket. It's not doing us. Everyone that owns a house since the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, not doing us any favors. More neighbors don't do us any favors. More dogs, more traffic, more eyes looking at us to call the cops. No neighbor has ever saved my life, but they almost destroyed my life by calling the police for nothing, just because I parked crooked on the street off out of the way, right in front of my driveway. Or call the police because I'm sitting on the sidewalk near my mailbox waiting for the mail to come. Ridiculous. They call the police for nothing. And the police still respond when there's no crime. Why are they still responding when there's no crime? I need to call them and bitch them out. Alright, I guess this video is getting a little too long, so Grassroots President Troy Fraser from Southern California, leading America one YouTube video at a time, and on television here pretty soon, doing rallies and protests pretty soon. May even gear up like RoboCop, where I'm totally bulletproof and jump into battle one of these days. If they can insert me and extract me real fast. I don't want to stick around there for weeks and weeks, months and months and months and months at a time. Just a couple days in and out. Shoot up some Taliban heads, save American soldiers, female and male. Alright, gotta go. Love you, bye.